What is up, my Watt movie realists? I know that's not Jeff, but it is a familiar face. Uh, Here for a real review, of course, and today's real review is a complete unknown, but we had to bring it all the way back. And as soon as I saw that my boy saw this movie early, I was like, oh, I know who I got asked to come on first. And I had to bring back Chris Anthony Lopez. I know he's been a ghost of sorts to a lot of you guys. But I had to bring him back, and it catch up a little bit because it's been a while since we've seen Chris's face. Over a year. I think the last time anyone saw you on anything was the Flick and Reel Taylor Swift video.
Oh, wow. Yeah. That was a while ago. That was fun.
Yeah, but Chris has always been a big music guy, and then I saw he saw this. I'm like, oh, I get to talk Timothée Chalamet's Bob Dylan with Chris. Yeah. So we're here to talk about A Complete Unknown, and I'm glad to have him on. Chris, how you doing, sir?
I'm okay, man. I'm happy to be here. I was lucky enough to see A Complete Unknown a little earlier than I typically do. I typically would, you know.
About 3 weeks ago.
Yeah. I got very lucky. And I know we're going to talk about it. We're going to talk about Timothée and James Mangold. But yeah, let's do it. Let's talk Complete Unknown.
So I will say first and foremost, I personally really dig this movie. Mm-hmm. I know some people, I've talked to some people who have also seen it. They have a fear. They didn't feel as highly. They felt like it was a jukebox musical movie, which I can see that criticism, but I don't agree with it. They felt it was it's just the greatest hits, this, that, and the other. It's not the reason why. And it's like, no, I saw a journey here, especially from where we start this character to where we finish. Mm-hmm. And Timothée Chalamet was just absolutely brilliant. He and Daniel Craig, as of right now, you'll see my review for Queer in the coming days with Jeff. But actually, you've seen my review for Queer on this channel with Jeff. Whoa. You can check that out. It dropped last week. And he just brought something I hadn't seen. Granted, we've seen a lot in Timmy, but it was a different level of Timmy that I just was completely sucked into. It's one of those. The thing I love about Timothée Chalamet as an actor is I never go when I see him and I'm like, oh, that's Timothée Chalamet. I normally completely buy into who he is as a character. He makes you forget who he is. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. He's a chameleon that way, and it's something you gotta love when it comes to an actor of his caliber.
So before we continue, I also really enjoyed A Complete Unknown. I don't know about you, Matt, but I was very unfamiliar with Bob Dylan going into this.
I knew like two of his songs. Literally, I knew A Complete Unknown and Times Are Changing.
Like I was, I couldn't even tell you that. I knew who this man was. I mean, if you're a fan of music, you know who Bob Dylan is. And before we continue, this is not a biographical picture about Bob Dylan. It's based on a book called Dylan Goes Electric. I believe that's the name of the book. And it's that story. That's the story that we're telling in this movie, that James Mangold's telling. Mm-hmm. And Timothée Chalamet plays Mr. Dylan. And yeah, like I don't know if I agree with the chameleon part because I still see Timothée Chalamet. However, I was very moved by him and what he was able to do. From what I've seen of him and his work so far in his career, I have not seen him do something like this before. The voice he puts on for Dylan is
spot on.
It's pretty good. He sings all the songs, and I really enjoyed that. Like the musical parts, I know again some folks might be a little musicaled out with how big the Wicked phenomenon has been in the back half of this year, but I think the music's great from him, and we'll talk about some of the other performances as well. But Timothée, yeah, I don't know about like. I know you're talking about like best male performances of the year.
I'd say he's one of mine. Like if I had a vote, I'd be struggling to choose between him and Daniel Craig.
As of this review, I have not seen Queer, but I have seen Conclave, and Ralph Fiennes is pretty damn good in that.
He's up there for me also.
But again, that's a different conversation. But Timothée Chalamet is very good in this movie. And A Complete Unknown's a pretty good flick. But again, we're not Bob Dylan fans. Might be after the movie, but we weren't going in. And some folks who may have loved Bob Dylan going in may feel a different way about how Timothy may perform this. But I think we both agree that we really like him.
Oh yeah, no, without a doubt. And it's one of those things where I feel like when you're doing a musical biopic, this is what Bo Rap has done to me. If you are not the person singing, I am tuned out, and that's why I loved Rocket Man as much as I did. That's why I loved this as much as I did, because it shows me you took the time to bring a different level that people weren't expecting to a role. And Timmy does a great job of replicating the Bob Dylan sound.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
One of my favorite Bob Dylan song is "The Times Are Changing." Chris, you know that as the opening song from Watchmen.
Yes.
But that's how I was introduced to it, and I was like, "Yo, I really dig this song." And you talk about it's based on the book.
Dylan Goes Electric.
Dylan Goes Electric, which is about his journey from becoming just a folklore musician to the kind of rock star he eventually becomes.
Embracing rock and roll, man.
And
don't kill folk music. Don't kill it.
And that was a big part of that. That is what this story is about. It's about him and the evolution he goes through as a musician, and that's what stuck with me, because they say don't meet your heroes. He met his heroes.
Yeah.
One understood and was accepting of what he did. And by the way, Scoot McNairy, even though dude doesn't say a word, essentially, what a great performance.
It's pretty good.
Just using his eyes and body language. But then you have the other one who doesn't, who is I forget the
Pete Seeger.
Pete Seeger, played by Edward Norton, who eventually towards the end of this starts to push back on Bob, because Bob is moving beyond folk.
Like this is, I mean, yeah, like it's all again based on a true story. This actually happened.
Yes.
So spoilers, I guess, in that regard.
It's history. I don't care about spoilers.
Right, it's history. But Edward Norton's really good in this too. I loved him in the back half of this movie, because we go through a lot of time very quickly in A Complete Unknown.
About 8-year span, basically.
Yeah, in about 2.5 hours, something like that. And go ahead.
No, I was about to say, and that's probably the one complaint I have, is they don't do a great job of letting you know where you are.
It's kind of inconsistent. Yes. Sometimes they'll tell us the year, sometimes they won't.
And other times you have to pick up on little context clues based off of like what it says on a badge for the year of what was the folk music festival?
Newport. Oh, the Newport Folk Music Festival. Yeah. Like things like that. And but if you don't buy Chalamet as Dylan, this movie will not work.
Yeah.
Simple as that. Like, to me and to Matt as well, like Chalamet works and this movie works. I liked the writing of Chalamet's character and how they humanized Bob, a man who very low speaking, but he has a lot to say, and it can be very profound in a very weird way. But in regards to some of the other supporting performances, just to name drop Elle Fanning and Monica Barbaro.
I was just about to get into her because she was awesome.
Again, like Monica Barbaro, like she's great as Joan Baez.
Joan Baez, yep.
But my one big issue with this movie is how they treated both of the supporting ladies in this.
They just treat them as side characters, but they do really great work with what they're given.
And like I'm a fan of both of them, and I've been jonesing to see more of both of them. But I didn't love how I forget the name of Elle Fanning's character, but Joan Baez.
Sylvie.
Yeah, but still, they were just like, oh my God, Bob Dylan's so hot. That was almost their character, and both of them respectively.
Joan is a little bit. Elle Fanning, that is her character. Joan is in the earlier on
in the first half of the film.
She's a much stronger character earlier on. I feel like it goes to. She goes from Bob Dylan's hot and I'm a strong character to Bob's just an asshole.
Sure. And I like the performances all around from what they were given. I like the music in this a lot. James Mangold as a director to me that like he's been hitting a lot lately. Like,
Oh yeah.
I love Ford versus Ferrari. I know that was his other big Oscar movie that came out in the last few years.
I personally loved Dial of Destiny. I don't know how
So
you
did
felt
I.
about it.
We're apparently Matt. It's a party of two.
And then
loving Dial of Destiny.
I know a few people, but like he also directed Walk the Line. It's not like he's unfamiliar with this kind of process.
Exactly. So James, I know this year is tough. I know like we were talking about awards and stuff, and we're fully in the swing of awards season, and they're like Gotham did their awards, all these other film critic circles around the country are doing awards, the Golden Globes and stuff like that. But James Mangold's a director who's not familiar or who's not unfamiliar with that stuff. But like I thought he made a pretty good flick.
Oh yeah.
I thought this movie is pretty damn good.
I love the color palette he uses. It's not as blue as like an Inside Llewyn Davis, which was slightly based on Bob Dylan, and there's a little nod to Bob Dylan. I know you and I have talked about Inside Llewyn Davis in the past, but it's just there's something he's cooking with gas here, and I just really dug it. It's what 2:15ish.
Something like that.
I didn't really start feeling it until towards the end. And I think the music, because of how much of what is played, helps with that. But I also do. There's also I can't because I love this actor so much. The guy who plays the manager, who is why am I Dan Fogler? Who was great, and I loved him in Fantastic Beasts. I remember him from being this fringe talent who wasn't getting a lot of work till he's a face you're seeing like consistently now. I'm so happy to see that.
I didn't know he was in this. I did like the DiCaprio meme where I was like, hey,
I know that guy.
I know
that guy.
I'm like, I didn't know you were in this. Like he was there was a couple other actors that
Boyd Holbrook is Johnny Cash.
Oh my god.
I was just about to say we can't go without talking about that because
he's the best part of this movie. You know what? I'll say it. He's the best. Like
what, you want Walk the Line remade with Boyd Holbrook? That's
dog. You know what? Here. So Boyd Holbrook and I have beef, right? So like James Mangold loves Boyd Holbrook, and he makes him the scummiest character in every movie that he's in, with the exception of this.
Yes.
Him as Johnny Cash absolutely rocks, pun intended. And he is so damn good, and he nails the voice. And I'm like,
drunkenness.
This is the first time. This is the first time that I've liked Boyd Holbrook's character that he was in. Not saying I never liked his performances.
Wait, you didn't like him in Bike Riders?
No.
Really?
No. Not that I remember. Bike Riders is one of those movies that fell victim to coming out too early in the year. Where's all the Bike Riders love at? What happened to that? We're not here to talk about Bike Riders.
Yeah, so to be fair, it got middling love back when it came by.
I mean, I liked it.
I liked it.
But again, like he pops up and stuff, and I'm like, this guy, I don't like Boyd Holbrook. Maybe because I'm just hating on him from a distance. But he popped up in this because I forgot he was Johnny Cash because we discussed before.
Which he doesn't look like himself. They give him the contacts, and his baby blues are how you recognize him. This you're just like, oh wait, that's Boyd.
Right. We were discussing before we started recording this that how we prefer to avoid trailers or previews for certain movies, and I try to avoid stuff. I watched the first trailer to this, and I know he pops up in it a little bit.
Yeah.
But I tried missing everything else so I can go into this as fresh as possible.
Yeah.
And when he pops up, I'm like, oh yeah, like Johnny Cash, and it's Boyd Holbrook, and he stole the movie from me. And no diss to Timothée Chalamet. My man's already getting a lot of love for his performance in this movie. But let's not sleep on Boyd. Granted, he's not going to get any love at the Academy Awards or anything, but still. Boyd Holbrook is very, very enjoyable in this flick, and he might steal the show from everybody else involved.
Even though he's got like 3 or 4 scenes, that's a
dog. He eats the screen up every time. Like it was so.
Well,
like
the parking scene.
Charm me out of my boots.
The parking scene is what got.
Yes, yes, that and oh my god, like there was the Jesus Christ. He's not Jesus isn't in this movie. But I love Boyd Holbrook in this, yes. And. Like if anyone's to take away from this flick, it's Boyd.
Well, I will say what I love about Boyd Holbrook's Johnny Cash is he's the one person in this folk community who isn't like no, don't do this. He's like, no, do what you think is right. And that was cool because Cash is like the name at the time, and it's like, the name is telling you, forget these guys, do what you got to do. You have my support. I enjoy what you're doing. It's like, if you piss them off, so be it. And that was what I think, even though it's such a small role compared to a lot of these other ones in the film, it's so impactful.
Like, to me, like the first half of it had me in a vice grip, and it kind of loosened up over the course of the film up until the end. But it still had me. I was still very much engaged. I really like this movie. Will it pop up in my end of year list? Probably not. I don't know.
For me, it is.
Like, I don't, and this again is a whole different video, but a whole different real talk. But I am very confident in saying, like, I really like this movie. Is it perfect? No. Is Chalamet the man? Yes. Like Timothy's the guy. But let's not sleep on Boyd. Let's not sleep on Monica. And Edward Norton, I know you mentioned him earlier, but him as Pete Seeger was very, very enjoyable.
Yes. So, Chris, if you're giving this a rating, what are you giving it?
You asked me this earlier. I had to think on it for a second. I'm giving it a whopping 4 Dylans out of 5 Dylans. It's a good flick. It's a good movie. But this is coming from someone who did not have any ties to Bob Dylan at all. This is essentially my introduction to him. And I was very fascinated by what I saw. So much so that I've been listening to Bob since. So good job, A Complete Unknown. You gained Bob Dylan another listener. I'm late to the party, but I'm happy to be there.
You're about 60 years too late.
Hey, I'm happy to be here, man. I'm happy to be here.
No, and me personally, my only real complaint, there's the change in how the women are written. I will give Chris that, and I forgot about that. But my biggest complaint was making it really hard to just follow timeline wise if you're not picking up on some of the stuff because there'll be times like, oh yeah, 4 months. It's like, wait, 4 months? Didn't he just get here like 5 minutes ago? And it's like, and now you're telling me 4 months has passed, or that it's 1963 and we were just in like 1961 and about 20 or so minutes ago. And it's like,
they tell us with life events that actually happened, and I'm like,
it'd be simple to just throw up a quick fade into the year and fade out.
They would do that. They did
the title cards like twice. It was twice they did it. It's like when the movie starts at like the halfway point. It's like, I'm pretty sure I kind of needed the in between here personally. Right. But
your rating?
Yeah, my rating is a 4.5 out of 5 for those reasons. I love that performance. It was
pretty good.
Like I said, and this is for a different video. This probably be. Paige, Jeff, and I are supposed to do a top 10 performances list of the year, and then of course the top 10 movies of the year, and so on and so forth. But for me personally, it's a 4.5 out of 5. I did have a lot of fun with Timmy's performance, and I just I get what you say, but you still see him. But I guess I look at roles like Wonka, and it's like, no, I bought him as like when I say he sucks. I don't see him. It's like, no, I buy him. Actor, I buy him as that character. Essentially, is what it's like. Okay, I buy him as Wonka. I buy him as Bob. I buy him as Paul Atreides. Yeah, because he's so different.
Do you think he was better in Dune 2 or this? Because he was pretty damn rad in Dune 2.
He's rad in both. I guess. Yeah. Because of it's the type of performance is different for me.
When he gets the Oscar nom, it's going to be for this. Yes. But I'm asking you, Matt Thomas.
I'm going to lean towards this, but I like a tiny hair because I felt like I got to experience his talent more. I got to experience him as an actor more, and that's why I'd lean with this. But Dune 2 is just like Dune 2. He gets to show more range. I will say that in a heartbeat. But this,
you think Dune 2 is a better movie? How many Dunes did you give that one?
I can't say because then I'm
Okay, I don't want to spoil your
I'm giving
list.
hints at the top.
I don't want to spoil your list.
But,
I don't want to spoil your list.
with that, folks, remember to check out our sister channel, What Real Gaming, run by our boy Taylor Cleek. He's killing it over there, doing all of his video game streams, and then putting the VODs and clips from his gaming experiences on the Real Gaming channel. So go check that out and subscribe to that. But also, if you didn't see last week's special live episode of kind of a real talk I did with Amaru, we covered the Harry Potter casting controversy, or I guess it's 2 weeks ago now, looking at this video, thinking about when this video's coming out. But I personally don't think it's controversy. That's just me. But you can go see all of our thoughts there, because all the casting rumors dropped like right before we recorded this episode. So instead of just being about Black Snape, and then being all about all the different casting rumors that came out that day. And then our ongoing podcast series, Views from Metropolis. Go check that out. It's our Superman podcast on the Man of Steel, leading into James Gunn's Superman, going and breaking down all of these different iterations and adventures you have over the years from Superman and all his different forms and characters and actors. So check that out. But Chris, where can the good people find you?
You see my handle down at the bottom at the letter C, Anthony Lopez. Follow me on Twitter. Follow me on Blue Sky, or not Twitter, X, whatever.
We call it Twitter. We call it
Twitter. Blue Sky. Follow me on Instagram with the letter C _, Anthony Lopez. And yeah,
man needs to bring back for Chris's sake.
Hey, I don't want to tip my cap. I don't want to show my hand. But follow my socials. Maybe you'll see something about it soon. Just saying. And
you guys can follow me over on X, Twitter at WattMovies_Matt, and you can get rid of the underscore, and that's what I am on Blue Sky. Is just WattMovies_Matt, no underscore. So follow me there. But with that, folks, signing off. I am Matt. That is Chris, and this was another Real Review. See you next time.
Bye.